Everyone thinks the Sennheiser Momentum 4 wireless is a safe, boring pick in a world dominated by Sony and Bose. But here's the thing: after living with them in 2026, they're quietly the better daily driver for most people because the sound, battery life, and firmware finally come together in a way the others don't. Look, I went in skeptical. The internet crowned the XM5 king of ANC. Bose owns airplanes, but during 2 weeks of flights, subway commutes, and back-to-back calls, something kept happening. The M4 kept solving problems the others create. And yes, I tracked battery drain, tested calls in wind, switched between iPhone and Android, even killed the touchpad midwinter with gloves to see what would break. Spoiler: it wasn't the Sennheiser. Before we dive into what I discovered, quick heads up. If you're already convinced and want the best price, the link is below. But hang tight, because what I found in testing might change how you think about these, especially at around $229.99 with an Amazon rating sitting at about 4.1. I needed one pair that did everything without babysitting. I bounce between an iPhone and a Pixel, I'm on Zoom and Teams all day, and I fly often enough to judge airline coffee. My last round was a mess. The XM5 sounded fine but needed a charger way too often. AirPods Max crushed calls, but the weight and battery anxiety wore me down. And a boutique pair had great tuning but mediocre ANC and glitchy multipoint. I wanted comfort for a cross-country flight, ANC that didn't clamp like a pressure cooker, and the kind of sound that makes you forget you're reviewing gear. I also wanted smarter controls that don't go haywire when a scarf brushes the ear cups. The Momentum 4 had a reputation: great sound, long battery, okay ANC. I thought, fine, prove it. Testing started with commuting and travel. Day 1, New York subway platform at rush hour. Adaptive ANC on, transparency set to a quick toggle in the app. The low-frequency rumble dropped dramatically, enough that I could listen at 60 to 65% volume without pushing. Voices around me were still faintly there, but manageable. On a 5-hour flight later that week, they cut the engine drone so I wasn't fatigued, and unlike some ANC cans, I didn't get that pressure headache. Battery check. I started at 100%, landed at 89%. That's absurdly good. But then the interesting part: switching to transparency mode didn't mess up the sound signature as much as I expected. It still felt coherent, not tinny or hollow. Next, phone calls. 10 calls in 2 days, indoor meetings, a sidewalk with 10 to 15 mph wind, and a coffee shop buzz. The 4 beamforming microphones with wind suppression did real work. Close friends said my voice sounded natural, not thin or artifact-heavy. Outside in wind, the algorithm carved out the gusts better than my XM5 ever did. It's not magic, extreme gusts still push through, but I didn't have to repeat myself. Sidetone felt usable, and access to voice assistance was quick, but then there was one hiccup. Where detection was a little sensitive the first time, pausing when I slightly shifted the cup. A quick app tweak fixed it. Music quality is where these pull away. Sennheiser's 40-tune transducers and aptX adaptive on Android make a difference. Bass is authoritative but controlled, mids are clean, and treble is smooth without sizzle-induced fatigue. I ran my reference playlist: acoustic vocals, modern R&B, some rock, and orchestral. Imaging is surprisingly wide for a closed back. On iPhone with AAC, I didn't miss unless I really strained in quiet rooms. Here's what nobody tells you: the tuning holds up as volume changes. You don't get that weird mid-bass bloat at low levels that some ANC headphones show. Versus the XM5, the M4 feels more natural and less processed. Versus Bose, it's not even close in musicality. But then, if you're a treblehead, you might want to nudge the EQ up a hair. Smart features and app behavior. The Smart Control Plus app has improved. The integrated EQ, presets, and personalized sound tweaks are practical, not gimmicky. Crucially, there's an ANC toggle and a touchpad off switch in the app lifesaver when wearing hats or gloves. Multipoint with 2 devices worked reliably. Audio switched in 1 to 2 seconds between my laptop and phone. Latency with aptX adaptive felt tight for video. The touchpad gestures are intuitive, though swipe volume can overshoot if you're heavy-handed. And yes, firmware updates have been steady. The experience in 2026 is smoother than it was at launch. But then, one con: no LDAC if that's your ecosystem. Also, the case is a bit chunky in a backpack. Here's where it gets interesting. The most surprising discovery wasn't just the 60-hour battery claim, it's how real it feels. Over a week and a half, I clocked roughly 54 hours with ANC on, mixed volume, calls, and music, and still had juice. Fast charging turns a short plug-in into hours of playback. The consistency of the sound across ANC and transparency is better than I expected, and the daily life polish adds up. Touchpad kill switch, steady multi-point, and mics that don't humiliate you outside. If you looked at the Amazon rating around 4.1 and hesitated, I get it, early firmware complaints dragged that down. In 2026, after updates, most of those rough edges are sanded off. Compare this to your usual suspects. Bose still wins for brute force ANC on planes, but they don't touch Sennheiser on musicality. Sony's app is deeper, but the M4's tuning is more honest and the battery crushes it. AirPods Max, great for Apple users, heavy and pricey and still nowhere near 60 hours. The M4 lands in that sweet spot. Audiophile-inspired sound without babysitting the battery, strong enough ANC, and call quality that won't get you kicked off your meeting. Now that you know, the real win here is that combination of sound quality and marathon battery life with smarter app controls. You might want to snag it while the price sits around $229.99. It bounces. I'll drop the best current deal in the description. Grab it, then stick around for my comparison breakdown if you're still torn. Bottom line, if you want maximum ANC at all costs, go Bose. If you want the flashiest feature list and LDAC, go Sony. But if you want the headphone that sounds right, lasts forever, and just stays out of your way, this is it. For commuters, travelers, students, and anyone juggling devices, the Sennheiser Momentum 4 Wireless is the sane choice in 2026. Skip it only if you absolutely need top-tier ANC or you live in the Sony LDAC ecosystem. Everyone else, enjoy music, forget the charger, and let your meetings sound like you know what you're doing.